Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Shankly Gates Podcast. I am joined this evening by our two regulars, Dan and Taran. We all right, lads?
Yeah, all good, Kieran.
All good, mate, yeah.
Good stuff. Yeah, lots to talk about this week. Of course, Liverpool beat Cardiff 3-1 today in fourth round of the FA Cup. We'll talk about that and reaction. We'll then go slightly off topic. We've got the African Cup of Nations final tonight. So we'll get everyone's views on what they think the final score will be. And then a busy week for the Reds sees us with games against Leicester and Burnley. But we'll start with today's game. We'll start with you, Taran. 3-1 win over Cardiff. If you could, sort of write a script that was how you want it to go, you'd pick something like that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, definitely. I think there was a bit of anxiety after watching Saturday's football and seeing how close some of the teams like Chelsea and West Ham have been run by opposition. So we were looking forward to a game that was probably much more comfortable than we needed it to be, as opposed to having a game.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God,
it's brilliant.
Having a game where we were panicking a bit. So I think after the first 20 minutes or so, there was a bit of fear settling in. I'd say, we had a few chances. Jota has that chance at first. And I think that, that touch that he provides, and then, he just decides to blast it at the goalkeeper. But thankfully, we come into it in the second half and we were much better. And in the end, managed to shut Cardiff out. Probably a bit disappointed to concede a goal, but at the end of the day, we're through into the next round now.
Absolutely, man. That's the main thing, isn't it? We getting through in the cup, isn't it? But we were just touched off here, Dan. Certainly in that first half, famous thing that you've said time and time again was that just classic Liverpool after a length of time off.
Yeah, it was. And like you touched upon, I have said it previously. It's not, it's not a new thing. Every time we seem to come off a break, we seem to be off the pace. And like I said to you lads, I've almost switched my opinion on it in a way. Like, it's still a problem because it does tend to take us a game or two. Obviously, in this case, it's only 45 minutes, thankfully, to sort of get back to the pace. But it's more the fact that we're so good in a rhythm, which is why when you look at a big month of fixtures, you almost relish it as a Liverpool fan because that's when we're at our best. It's when there's the gaps. I mean, we even seen it over Christmas for a period because obviously we didn't play the Leeds game and then we go and lose the Leicester game. And you just think, had we have not had that little mini break, we might have been in better shape for Leicester because, I mean, that Leicester game, we can all remember we were dire. And that was after a very small break. So as much as Klopp moans about playing every 3 days, and he's right to do so in a way in terms of injuries and intensity and all that, we're actually better for it. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword, really. But yeah, today it was chalk and cheese first half, second half. I think the goal helps, obviously. But if Jota scores in the first few minutes, who knows, different story. But there's no doubt about it. We were pretty lackluster for 45 minutes of that game today. And it's something we've seen quite a lot when we come back off on them breaks.
Yeah, Dan, I agree. I think it was definitely quite lackluster. I mean, as you say, I agree with you. There are, when we do play game after game after game, we are better. And going ahead, we've said the Leeds game's been rearranged for this month. We're obviously through in the cup, so we will be playing 3 times a week. I think every week for the next few weeks. So I think that can only stand us in good stead for the way we play. But before we get to the goal, which obviously changed the game, starts the second half. Taran, a little bit of a controversial incident with the goalkeeper, Caoimhin Kelleher. And get your thoughts on that, mate. What's he thinking here, rushing off his line, and in your mind, was the yellow card the right call there?
Yeah, I think the defence seemed to struggle a bit today, in my opinion. I think, which is quite surprising considering you had Virgil van Dijk there, and you obviously had Konate with a new look, which confused me quite a bit. But I think seeing that high line again, with obviously the one that we play. I think it did seem to be a bit shaky. Maybe that is a bit of rust that obviously, coming back after a bit of a long break. So obviously Kelleher coming out and almost wiping out completely their player wasn't a great sight to see. I think he was lucky in the sense that he didn't make too much contact with him. If he'd made any more, and if Konate wasn't, fast enough to come back and almost cover, I think he would have gone off. So in that sense, he's quite thankful for the fact that Konate was there to cover. But I think it's one of those things where you want a keeper like that who almost is always on the front foot. You know, we know how crucial it is with Alisson, who's always coming off his line to clear the ball. So sometimes I guess you've got to be able to deal with that risk. So hopefully he learns going forward. But yeah, just thankful it wasn't a red card.
Yeah, you're right there, because there was another incident about, 10 minutes after that where he came out of his box as well and headed out. So he's definitely a goalkeeper that loves a, advanced starting position. Just quickly on that, Dan, for you, mate, yellow card, the right result there?
Just about.
Just
about for me. Yeah, I think he's borderline on sort of both instances in terms of obviously being the last man. I think that's touch and go. And I think touch and go in terms of the actual contact he makes as well, because he does catch the lad relatively high, probably just low enough to get away with being a yellow. So yeah, quite lucky, but probably just about all right.
Yeah, it's not a great challenge. It really is 50-50. I mean, I don't think I would have been able to complain if it was a red card. So I think we have got to rub the green on that. But
you
I'll stay with you.
When Adrian came on, you might have been complaining then.
That would have been interesting to also probably seen who he did the sacrifice as well, because I think obviously when Diaz and Elliott came on, they came on quite early, so I don't know how that may have changed things. But I'll stick with you, Dan. When the goal did come, we've waxed lyrical about him, a lot this season. Just how good was that header from Jota? I think it's different class, isn't it?
It is. It is different class, especially from someone who's not really that big. Like, it sounds like the most simple thing in the world to say in terms of analysis, but he's not that big. For someone who, for his stature, he scores so many headers and he's so good in the air. Like, obviously, you mentioned the quality of the header, and it's packed full of quality, but he's still got to win that header. And from a defensive point of view, I think the Cardiff manager came out and said he was very disappointed. And he's probably disappointed that all 5 for 8 of Diogo Jota has been allowed to win that header. I don't know whether it's a case of opposition not really knowing how good he is in the air and dealing with him, or just being more preoccupied with 6'5" and 6'4" Van Dijk and Konate, which is understandable. But when Jota is that lethal, like, he's brilliant with the ball at his feet, obviously, but for me, he's probably more clinical in the air, which is saying something. I mean, he should score that early chance. We all know that. He's done the hard work. But yeah, that header it's not something we see a lot of these days either, because we don't see like old-fashioned centre forwards, do we? They're not really a thing. But in terms of his finishing ability, Jota is almost that old-fashioned centre forward, because he's so clinical. And yeah, to find that corner, and they always say head down, don't they? And he's done that on the bounce. It really is brilliant.
No, it is. It gave the goalkeeper absolutely no chance. I think, especially when the ball bounces as well. He's never getting to it. Just on Jota, Taran, I know obviously Salah would probably be favourite if we were going to pick a player of the season, but Jota's got to be up there, hasn't he? He's going to be running him close.
Yeah, definitely. I think since he's arrived, it almost feels inevitable that if he plays, he's either going to have a big chance or he's going to score or he's going to provide for the team. He's that good of a player. And I think, like you mentioned, we always talk about that it's inconceivable that this player's come from Wolverhampton Wanderers for the price of 40 million out of nowhere, and he's just hit the ground running as fast as he has and as well as he has. So definitely, and obviously we know Salah's quality, and I think there's been comments made this week about the fact that Salah's been away for a month, and you wouldn't think it because he's still miles ahead in the goal scoring charts. But like you mentioned there, if Jota's still there creating chances, which I feel he will be, he could give Salah a run for his money.
No, absolutely. I mean, there's 1 and 2 in the end, top scoring record. I think Salah will just pip him, but who knows how many they're going to get between them. Anyway, one thing that was definitely wonderful to see today was a certain double substitution that happened just before the hour mark. Dan, we'll start with Luis Diaz, mate. Impressive, wasn't he?
He was. Yeah, he was. It was just nice to see him get on, wasn't it? Similar to Harvey Elliott, obviously, then he goes and scores that goal. I know, this cat. Lucy.
I'm loving it. It's great.
He's all over the place, like, honest to God. All my cats have got a Liverpool theme, by the way, while we're on the topic. That's Lucy. It was like a play on Louis, as in Louis Garcia, not Suarez. I've got Ali knocking around Alisson. And there's also a Nabby knocking around somewhere as well. But
we'll have to get them all on for the end of season special.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, give him a vote on the Player of the Season awards. Anyway, yeah. So where was I? Yeah, Luis Diaz. Yeah, fantastic. And obviously, we spoke about it off air. That heart in mouth moment whereby he goes down injured, and you just think, oh, the lad's been on the field 10 minutes in Liverpool shirt, and he's done something serious here. And thankfully, that obviously wasn't the case, and he got up and played on. Did really well for the second goal. Show glimpses of what he's got. He's very, very effective running with the ball. Got skill. And yeah, listen, we've signed a quality player. So, I think considering he probably had one training session, for Jurgen Klopp to throw him in just shows you how highly he rates him ability-wise. And it also shows you so when Liverpool sign someone, we talk about the Jota signing, they have to tick a certain number of boxes. Now, Diaz must tick a lot of them boxes to get thrown into a game. All right, the game's pretty much done. But to play for Liverpool after being in the club for 24 hours, like normally when Klopp signs someone, it takes weeks till we see them. Like we've seen it with Canate, Robertson, other previous signings, and we don't really see them for a while. It takes a while to bed in. 24 hours later, Luis Diaz is running down the wing. It's good. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. No, it's wonderful, mate. It's exactly what we need, that depth we go on about, and to come on and see him do all that, yeah, for me, like you say, ticks a load of boxes. Yeah, Taryn, similar question to you, mate. Your initial thoughts on him, and how good do you think he can be for us?
Yeah, first of all, I felt quite sorry for him coming on a windy, cold Sunday afternoon. First game, Cardiff. I did feel quite bad for him, but that man just, he just didn't stop running as soon as he came on the pitch. And I love the fact that he just got in the box every single time. He was either outside on the ball or he was inside, waiting to receive it. And obviously, the goal that he sets up, his feet and the pressing, like, Dan mentioned, everything that sort of Liverpool have that identity in the attack of, good on the ball, quick with their feet, and then pressing first of all. He displays that all in that assist that he creates. And, for him to do that within 10 minutes of his debut, that just shows that he's got so much to, provide for this Liverpool team. So it was so good to see him come on. And, I think it was everything that every Liverpool fan was hoping for.
Absolutely, mate. I mean, on the goal, I think it was a perfect ball for Jota, and he just fluffed his lines. But luckily, Minamino was running behind him, so still gets credited with the assist. But to do all that, and he did pick Jota out. So let's hope it's the start of a wonderful time at the club. But we'll stick with you, Taran, because we need to speak about the other substitute, mate, Harvey Elliott. We had a little discussion just off air beforehand. In a weird way. Obviously, he's been out for so long, but from what we've seen, like you said before to me, do you think he's actually better than before he got injured?
Yeah, definitely. He just looks hungry, and it's crazy to think that a player that broke into the Liverpool side at the start of the season with so much hunger has come back even hungrier, and I think that just shows how well sort of his recovery's been and how good of a player he is. To go through that injury after you're in the side and you're playing so well, and then to come back as fast as he has, and have all the the sort of plaudits from coaches and players saying it looks like he hasn't been away, and I think he showed that today, obviously with his goal, but I think also with his attacking play, he was just all over on the right flank, linking up with everyone, getting inside the box as well. So I think it's so good that we have him back, especially, we're fighting on 4 fronts now still. And, we've got quite a few important games coming up. So to have as many people as we can, fully fit as well, it'll be great to have him in.
No, absolutely, mate. Sensational. And on that, I was just looking at sort of the team and the bench beforehand. I looked at it and I thought, there's some depth there. Definitely, and that's without Sal Romano at all. Yeah. So
and the Brazilians.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly.
No Fabinho, no Alisson.
Yeah. Alisson, yeah. So. No, absolutely, it's wonderful. So to have him back is fine. Yeah, Dan, on Harvey Elliott, mate, after all he's been through, were you surprised to actually see just how much of an influence he had on the game?
Yes, obviously, no one quite knows. It's like when anyone's injured for such a long period of time, nobody quite knows what they're going to get when they come back. But it was, like Taryn said there, he looked better than he did before he left us, which is saying something because he was just starting to influence games, wasn't he? I've seen someone say before on Twitter, every game he's been available for, he's featured in so far this season, which is saying something, really. It's testament to where Jurgen Klopp thinks he's at. He looked outstanding when he came on. And I often wonder when a player gets like a long-term injury like Harvey Elliott had. Obviously, he's got to do all his sort of rehab work and, you know, it was an ankle injury, obviously, as we know, and he's got to get that right first and foremost. But it also gives players an opportunity to work on different parts of the game, I often think. And someone like Harvey Elliott, who's so young and obviously so keen to be as good as he can possibly be as a Liverpool player, I did wonder whether he might take the opportunity to work on different things in terms of his own game, maybe from a physical point of view, but also from a mental point of view. And it looks like he might have done that, potentially, which is a pretty frightening prospect because he looked a little bit stronger maybe as well. And probably one of the things he could do early in his rehab work was sort of upper body stuff. So that was one thing that he maybe lacked when he got injured, because as talented as he is, he's not a big lad, is he? And he's only going to get bigger as he gets older, obviously. So maybe he took some time on that. So he might have used the opportunity of this injury as a real positive, which is strange to say, but someone like him who's so determined and he's got back so quickly, it wouldn't surprise me if he has taken the chance of 5 months out to work on a few things. Because normally footballers don't get that opportunity. Like, how often does a footballer get 5 months off? It's just impossible, isn't it? So the injury, although it's a terrible thing to have happened, long term might well stand him in really good stead. It sounds so silly, but looking at him today and the way he's come back and he looks better than he did, I do wonder whether he's really grasped the opportunity, you know?
No, mate, I agree. I think you do make a good point there. It's not something that I thought about real time, but I do think he's got a bit, you know, a bit beefier, a bit, you know, a bit more on the upper body there. I think you make a good point there, yeah. But, you know, just looking at that performance, you know, yeah, going to be made up. There's another wonderful option. And I think, you know, he will get a lot, I think, quite a few number of starts. I think there's certainly on that right of that 3 he's going to feature heavily. So that's a major positive for us, definitely. But yeah, just lastly on the FA Cup, lads. Obviously the draw for the 5th round was made before the game, Taran, and we'll host Norwich City in round 5. Obviously we're in the League Cup final. And now this is a 3rd home game in a row in the FA Cup against what you would say, you know, manageable opposition, you know, no disrespect. So is this another cup competition that's, you know, opening up for us? We're not too far away from the latter rounds, no?
Yeah, definitely. I think we've had quite a few sort of tough draws in the last few seasons under Klopp, and it's meant that we haven't really been able to play sort of our squad depth players. But I think this season, even then, you know, we've played, you know, a stronger side today. You'd say was a much stronger side than, you know, we're probably used to normally seeing in the cup. So in that aspect, it's a good thing that we're playing sides that, you know, no disrespect to them, aren't of, you know, the top quality teams in terms of a top 6 side. So that helps us, you know, not having to field, you know, a strong team. But it'll be good to play, you know, Norwich as well. You know, if we played them in the League Cup earlier on in the season and managed to get through there. So, you know, they obviously played well under Dean Smith, and, you know, obviously they're hoping to stay up in the league, and they'll be hoping as well to get as much as they can out of this season. So it'll be good, and it'll be as well good to see the young players come play again.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I think it'll be a similar team, hopefully with no injuries, that'll face that game, and every chance we go through. Yeah, Dan, Norwich at home in round 5. Quadruples on, isn't it, mate?
19 minutes and 49 seconds. It's tough for someone to say that word. Yeah, man.
Longer than I thought.
Yeah, saying. Listen, we're still in all 4 trophies, aren't we? We're still in with a shout, which is pretty much all you can ask for. And if that's still the case in April, May, then I'll be absolutely over the moon. Yeah, Norwich isn't a bad draw. I think there are easier draws out there, but Chelsea and Man City took them for a change. Yeah, I think it's an interesting point Tara makes, just that we have had tough draws in previous years. And I think the problem's been is that Klopp has carried on playing the squad depth players. Like he hasn't, like he's almost named a very similar team this year, but because of the levels of opposition, we've all gone, oh, that's quite a strong team, because we're playing Shrewsbury at home, no disrespect, or Cardiff at home, no disrespect. Whereas when he's named that team in years gone by, and we're playing Chelsea away, we've all gone, oh, that's a problem. You know what I mean? So it's that mindset thing. When we look back, we probably look back at very similar sort of lineups, but the opposition makes us think, oh, no, we're in trouble here. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. I think, listen, Norwich at home isn't a bad draw by any stretch of imagination. I think it'll be an even better draw because Norwich will probably still be in a relegation fight when the fixture comes around. And it's a really busy part of the season. So similar to Cardiff today, they didn't even name a full-strength side, Cardiff, because of their problems in the league. Norwich might be in a very similar boat, which is always nice, isn't it? It's nice when teams don't go full strength against you. So hopefully that's the case for that one.
Yeah, definitely. And the fifth round game, I think it's a midweek set of fixtures as well.
I think it's straight after the League Cup final, that week after, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, it'd be busy for us as well because we've got obviously the Leeds game just directly before the cup final as well. Yeah. So we've certainly plenty of chance to rotate. But anyway, guys, we're going to move on. Obviously, we're doing our podcast a couple of hours earlier this week because there is the certain matter of the African Cup of Nations final tonight. Senegal versus Egypt. Definitely a one to watch, I think, for all Reds. Taran, for you, mate. Have you got a particular idea on the game? How do you see it going? Are you supporting either one of these teams, or are you just hoping that Mo and Sadio get to the end of the game?
Yeah, I think watching, both of them in this tournament, I think, especially for Egypt, they've had a really tough run. They played some of the strongest sides in the tournament. Obviously had to play Cameroon last time out as well. Dan's obviously had to come back now, finally. He'll probably come back when Mane and Salah are there as well with us. Nice to see you back, Dan.
Sorry,
guys. Yeah, I thought you were against AFCON there. He's getting
off AFCON, he went to play.
I couldn't deal with that cat anymore. Sorry, guys. I took my opportunity.
No, so, Senegal have obviously had a more lenient run of games to get to the final. They've got much better players, I'd say, in position in comparison to Egypt. Star-studded lineup, I'd say. But Egypt have showed so much character, and we've seen it almost. You could draw comparisons to the World Cup run almost, and sort of Croatia in the fact that they went to 2 extra times and had to really tough it out. And sort of the thought that, they're going to be tired, but people can sort of write off Egypt for this. But I think they've played really well this tournament, and as a unit they work really well. I think the only thing that they'll be disappointed about is obviously their manager not being there after getting sent off. But I think it'll be a really good game, and I think the upsetting thing is how much it means to both Mane and Salah, and it's just disappointing that one of them at the end of the day won't be a winner. So that's the only disappointing aspect of it. But either of them winning will be great for us.
Yeah, of course, mate. We'll all be settled tonight, won't it? Dan, your thoughts on it, mate? You're going to be rooting for either team, or just that Mo and Sadio get to the end of the game scot-free?
Yeah, the latter. I have a real. I can't pick either one of them, to be honest with you. I think, if I was picking purely based on who I think will win, and with timing, I think it's Senegal. I think they've got the better players for kick-off, which often helps in football matches. But I also think Egypt, having watched some of their more recent games, didn't really watch the group stages, but the knockouts, they have been put through the ringer. Absolutely. Like, not only have they gone to extra time and penalties, like most of the games, they've lost players left, right, and centre. The keeper is essentially playing with one leg and refusing to come off at the minute. And that centre half who had like a tea cozy thing on his head, so he's clearly got like some sort of bandage, some sort of issue going on somewhere. So yeah, my money would be on Senegal, but primarily I hope both of them get through okay. And they've both done wonderful things for the country. I think essentially, by all accounts, looking at the tournament stats and how the tournament's gone, whichever one wins it tonight will also be player of the tournament. Which is nice as well. That's not nailed on, but that does look like it could well be the case because they've played huge parts in the countries getting there, particularly Salah. And I think if Egypt are going to win tonight, they're very reliant on Salah, aren't they? There is a little bit of, when you're in school and you had like one boss player and you just tried to get the ball to him all the time. There's a little bit of that in Egypt, and that's not too disrespectful because they've got some good players. But Senegal are much more capable of spreading it around, aren't they? And Egypt. Listen, Salah, we've seen it as Liverpool fans multiple times. Salah's capable of doing magical things that can turn any game. So he could do that tonight, but I just think he might have to do it if Egypt are going to win.
Yeah, I agree. Just looking at the 11, it is pretty much Salah's stick, isn't it, really? pretty much, it is. I'm just amazed that they've got this far. I looked at all the knockout rounds and I thought, Ivory Coast will have too much for them. Morocco will have too much.
Cameroon as well.
And then it got to the host, Cameroon. I thought, surely, playing the host.
They did have too much for them. They were a better side, to be honest, Cameroon, in that.
Well,
Egypt just hung in.
I think they were egged on by a certain forward saying he wasn't particularly impressed with
Shania Twain.
Salah, which you've seen it time and time again, especially when we play teams in Europe, of how they're unimpressed by the Anfield atmosphere or whatever, and time after time they come up second best. So, but I'm in agreement with you. I think it's got to be Senegal. I think better players. I think Egypt just run out of steam. I think they've done unbelievably well to get this far. But and they have won it 7 times before as well. So I think from that point of view, can
I just say, Kieran, Nat Phillips is just walking out for Bournemouth in the FA Cup as we speak.
Sorry, they're playing Boreham Wood, aren't they?
Yeah, as we speak now. So any Liverpool fans who want to watch it, I think Jurgen Klopp said before that he doesn't know if he's going to watch AFCON because of Nat Phillips. And I thought, I'm not convinced.
That's a great vote for Nat Phillips. That as
well. You have 2 screens on Jurgen Klopp's.
Yeah, I'm sure he's got 2 screens somewhere in the house.
I mean, the winner of that's going to Everton, so it probably should be Bournemouth. He'll relish that if it is Bournemouth to get through. So we'll have to wait and see there. But we're going to move on, guys, because it's we're back to how we like it. Very, very busy in the Premier League. And, well, I'm not a big fan of Thursday games, but it's Thursday once again as Liverpool are off to Leicester this time. And, Dan, I think, one thing that's going through my mind is obviously we've just touched on AFCON. Do Mane and Salah both play in this one? Do they start? Are they on the bench? Where's your mind at with this?
For me, the maximum they can be is on the bench. I was amazed Klopp was so confident in their availability in his press conference on Friday. I was shocked by that. Normally, it was a very open press conference from Klopp, actually. He was waxing lyrical about Fabio Carvalho, which he never does about any player that we've been linked with. And then he essentially said, normally he's almost quite downbeat about player availability. He says, we'll have to wait and see and all that sort. It was like, Mane and Salah should be there. And I thought, they got the final, obviously, tonight, Sunday night. And then one of them's going to be celebrating tomorrow. They're obviously in Cameroon. They've got to get back. And then the bench, if they were both on the bench, I'd be delighted. Let's put it like that. I just can't see how they start the game, especially Salah, given what he's gone through already in the tournament. And obviously, Mane with his concussion the other day, they're going to be particularly wary about him. Yeah. We owe Leicester one, don't we? So I'd love to see them, take part in the game. But I really struggle to see how they feature prominently, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, Dan. I took his comments and thought just logistically, I don't know. I don't see how it's possible to especially how they've all gone through.
Yeah, he obviously thinks it is, and he's the most important man. Who are we to say you're wrong to Jurgen Klopp? But at the same time, we are right, because at the same time, we look at it practically and given what's gone before and go, I can't see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Taran, just to bring you on that, mate. It would just be too much, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think it's one of those. It's a difficult one. I think the only reason he might be saying that is because he knows what both Mane and Salah are like in terms of they want to play every single game that they can. And if you think about it, if one of them does lose, one of them's obviously going to lose on
One
Sunday.
of them will lose
tonight. One of them will. Probably end a draw. You never know. So, but no, one of them obviously is going to lose, and I don't think they'd be too happy about that. Sitting on the bench, because they're players who just want to play every single game, especially Salah. can you imagine Salah coming back after losing a final and then, being put on a bench? I really don't think he'd have it. So I think maybe it's one of those things where Klopp knows what they're going to react like. And if anything, you'd want an angry Salah or an angry Mane playing against Leicester, because, it's in those moments that sometimes they create something. So it's one of those. It probably is better to rest them, especially considering we've got a long season ahead and obviously games in a quick succession of games. But obviously, if they're eager to play and raring to play, I don't think Klopp's going to be the one to stop them.
Yeah, you make a fair point. I mean, obviously, we'd love to see them. I think obviously the decision will be made on Thursday for sure. But I mean, it is a difficult one, isn't it? But Dan, what are you expecting from this? Right? I mean, we've just seen Leicester getting absolutely smashed by Nottingham Forest in the cup today. They are a very strange team, but they've proved problematic this season for us already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have. But if we're going to be honest about it, in isolation, that's probably their result of the season. Which it might be anyway, beating Liverpool. But this year in particular, like Leicester have always took some big scalps in recent seasons, and they've gone well. They've been sort of top 4 there or thereabouts. But this year, that game against us is probably the only one they can really look back on with much pride, which is saying something about where they're at, really. So it's a bit of a kick in the teeth for us, because, like I said earlier, we were miles off it that night, which was really frustrating, especially when you look at the league table standings now. A win there, even a point there, is a massive boost. But like I say, we owe them one, don't we? They are having a strange season. Tonight's result only sort of enhances their strange season in terms of, I think there's almost a little bit of pressure on Brendan Rodgers, because obviously they were the FA Cup holders as well. They're nowhere near the pace in the top 4. So it could be an interesting week for them. Obviously, there's always the threat that they'll bounce back, but I'm more confident that we'll compound their misery on Thursday, and that's the way we should be looking at it. And listen, all being well, Salah, Mane, Alisson, and Fabinho, we could see for the first time, and I've said this before, and I almost don't want to say it, we could see like a big name being left out of the squad, not because of injury. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really want to name that person right now because I can't think off the top of my head, and it might not be true, but if everyone's fit on Thursday with the Diaz signing, we could see a serious name being left out of the squad, just because there's not enough room, which is something we've never done. Not in my, memory anyway. I can't think of us ever doing that. So that would be a nice problem to have.
Oh, mate, definitely. I mean, obviously disappointing on whoever does miss out, but it just shows, the actual when everyone's fit, the depth that we do actually have. But on the team, Taran, if obviously a decision will be made on both Salah and Mane, who do you see playing in this one? Players that have caught your eye today. Do you reckon Diaz gets a start, Elliott gets a start, or again will be monitored from the bench if they haven't, especially Elliott, haven't had an awful lot of football?
Yeah, I think Jota's a given to start. The man's just absolutely unreal. It's whether he then plays through the middle or on the wing. If he plays on the wing, then I think it opens up or sort of nullifies the fact that Mane will play. If he plays for the middle, then you never know. It could be Diaz or it could be Mane as well. I think the only tricky position is the right wing. I think we have struggled since Salah's been away. I think Firmino's tried to switch over there, Minamino, Jota, and it just hasn't really worked. And I think the only person that seems to be effective operating in that area is Harvey Elliott. And I don't think you can force that man to go and play, a big game like that, considering he's only played a few minutes today. So it'll be difficult. So I think if both all the front three are available, I think Salah might sneak in there and maybe Mane misses out. But I think it'll be quite interesting as well in terms of the midfield, because you think that obviously Oxlade-Chamberlain wasn't available today, but if you've got Fabinho coming back and Henderson and Thiago coming back, who misses out on there? Jones obviously played well. Obviously Harvey Elliott's back as well. Keita's back. So I think there's so many sort of interesting combinations that are going to happen in the next few weeks. So they sort of figure out which is the best 11 now. Because Klopp said that the other day, he said he's not picking the team from a few years ago or last week. He's picking it for now. So I think it'll be really interesting to see who we start playing.
Yeah, mate, I think honestly for once, like in a while, you genuinely, struggling to actually pick the 11. Usually you have a fair idea, but I mean, obviously, Jürgen has had some crazy, 11s in the past, usually when we play Everton, but to actually see where he's going to go with it will be interesting. We'll have to see how Salah and Mane get on tonight. So just on the Leicester game, score predictions anyway, lads. Start with you, Taran, mate. Is this a home win for us?
Yeah, I think it will be 3-0 to us.
Confident, mate?
I know.
Dan, that is usually full of confidence.
Yeah, I'm going to back that up. I'd like to change for reasons of change, but I'm not. I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to go 3-0 as well.
Oh, if only I had the graphic to put the price up or something. I think the group bet there for everyone is 3-0. So I might have a little look at that because I fancy that as well. At home, Leicester in a bit of disarray. We played well today, and we've got loads of people who look, with decent form. So hopefully, I'll take any win. Any of us would. So hopefully we get the business done. But then we'll look ahead, lads. We'll fast forward to Sunday as well. I'll start with you, Taran. We're off to will probably be a very windy turf. I'm glad we weren't there this weekend because the weather's been absolutely awful. I was speaking to you before about I sadly watched the second half of the Burnley Watford game and it was dreadful. It was awful. So, what it's going to be that sort of gritty game, isn't it? You can't avoid it. You've got to go there. You've got to play, and we've just got to get over the line, haven't we, mate?
Yeah, I think for me, Burnley always give me nightmares ever since that Ashley Westwood corner went in a few seasons ago. That always terrifies me. So I think it'll be a very difficult game. And now they've got an absolute tree up top with Weghorst as well. I think it'll be quite interesting. So, they obviously haven't had, well, to be honest, by their standards, it's been a decent season, I'd say, for them. Obviously, they've lost Chris Wood now. But I think, it'll be quite interesting. That they're obviously quite a difficult team to play, especially in and around this time as well. But I think if we've got all our players back, and obviously, the likes of Mane and Salah, we've had a few more training sessions, midfield as well, and same as the defence. I think we should be, comfortable enough to go through them and obviously continue pushing on for this title race if it's still on.
Oh, definitely, mate. I think it definitely is still on. We could go into it with loads of confidence. Dan, obviously, you'd probably say Mane and Salah will be back for that one.
Yeah.
Burnley, it's always usually a tough game, but we did win there 3-0 last season towards the end. Do you think it'll be as tough as previous seasons, or do you think with the way we are at the minute, do you think it might be a little bit easier this time, a little bit more comfortable?
That's the thing, isn't it? I think, Burnley's always pretty tough, but at the same time, the way, like you say there, the way we are and the players we've got available and the attacking options we're going to have at our disposal, it's hard to see how Burnley stop that. It's almost like anything Burnley try and do, we will have the answer for. So I can't see a way whereby they have any chance of stopping us, quite frankly, which sounds really arrogant. But previously you think, oh yeah, they could sit back and they could make it difficult. But with all our attacking weapons right now, even from the bench, previously, like I say, you think, oh yeah, if we go past sort of 60 minutes and it's 0-0, we've kind of tried everything. But now we could be looking at Diaz, Origi, and Minamino on the bench, and that's three entirely different options to what we've already tried. So it bodes well. I hate playing against Burnley. I
think everyone does.
And not only do I hate playing against Burnley, all the reasons I hate playing against Burnley, they've now signed a 6'6" Mount Weghorst.
Does he scare you? Does he worry you? He didn't look any good yesterday.
No, he didn't. But then again, 22 footballers didn't look any good yesterday in that game. It was everything I expected and more of Burnley Watford on a rainy, windy Saturday night at 6:00, which was bizarre in itself. Yeah, that was a terrible game of football. But yeah, he didn't look any good. No, you're dead right. But, any striker like that, because we just don't see them anymore. Like I touched upon earlier on in terms of old-fashioned centre forwards, we just don't get them anymore. So when you do come across one, it's like the FA Cup. the reason a lot of Premier League teams get caught out by lower league opposition is because it's a different brand of football altogether. It's very direct. It's why we got caught out by Brentford as well, with all due respect. And they had two up top, and Ivan Toney was just bullying Joel Matip for 90 minutes. And it hurt us, So Wout Weghorst does offer a threat. But at the same time, having said all of that, they probably won't have enough of the ball for that threat to matter. That should be the main point. So, yeah, we'll be fine.
Yeah, just to back that up, I'd say so. This is certainly, since they've come back into the Premier League, this for me is the worst Burnley side that I've seen. It's just, I think they are running out of ideas, running out of time. I think even if they do get, a goal or two, I think it's just our attack and the amount of goals you've scored this season, top scorers in England across all competitions. I think going into that, that's a massive advantage. And even if they get, go in front and try and make it difficult for us, we've seen it time and time again what we can do. And yeah, I agree. I think that even though it'll be a potentially tough game, I think it's one we get through eventually, and hopefully, City drop a few points this week, and we can get back to a more manageable gap. But anyway, guys, it's been a pleasure as ever. Thanks once again, Darren. Darren, my God.
Combining us now. I like that.
It's a double act now.
Darren, yeah. He could just speak to us both like that. It'd be much easier.
I've had the murder, yeah. I've had the murder. Sorry to Taran and Dan, because I was going to mention the cat as well.
Lucy, yeah.
So
guest appearance,
yeah. Make sure we'll definitely get all three on before the end of the season.
I'll bring Nabi next week.
Nabi.
Anyway, cheers, guys. Thanks for that. Thanks for watching. We'll be back probably next Sunday to review the Burnley game and to look ahead to. I'm not sure where we are now. Is it Inter Milan? Are we
Inter Milan in midweek? Yeah, it will be. Yeah.
Champions League is back. There'll be plenty to discuss. But thanks, guys, and we shall see you all next week.